Welcome to ProfiTrain, a presentation from the Business Risk Series, the basics of policies and procedures. In this presentation, we'll look at the basics of policies and procedures, which are the elements that make up business systems. And even though they can be quite complex, they are an important part of risk management in any business. Let's start with a little background information. Successful businesses rely on their systems to ensure everything runs smoothly. Systems allow a business to be more easily managed, and systems produce consistent and predictable outcomes. I can't think of any part of a business that you can't set up a system for. Systems are made up of policies and procedures, and even in a very small business, there are numerous subsystems in play. We will look in detail in this program at the basics of developing policies and procedures. The methods introduced in this program are suitable for micro businesses and can be used by larger businesses as a starting block for building their business system. Michael Gerber, in his book, The E-Myth Revisited, Why Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It, offers a great illustration of how important business systems are. In real life, you don't need to look very far to see businesses and institutions that use systems very effectively. Think for a moment about the military forces, air traffic control, hospitals, and of course, love them or hate them, there's always McDonald's. Systems enable a business to produce consistent and predictable results. Systems provide structure for business operations. People can be trained to use a system, and a benefit of that for the business owner is that you need less skilled and less experienced staff, which usually will save the business money. A consistent output is something that customers appreciate and value, and systems help deliver a predictable and consistent product or service. Because systems are made up of procedures, it usually makes them much easier to manage. If the system is not being followed, this will show up usually in faulty or substandard output. Occasionally, a system failure can result in a better way of doing things, but again, it's monitoring the systems and observing the outcome which will enable you to discover this fairly quickly. At the end of this program, we'll briefly look at compliance with your system policies and procedures. Now, the idea of building a business is generally to give the owner more freedom and time. Good systems will deliver that, and will also help the business owner build a business that is not solely dependent on their input. A true business is one in which the owner does not have to work, because it will operate without him or her. This can make the business quite saleable in the right circumstances and market. As I mentioned before, systems consist of policies and procedures. Your complete business system is made up of many subsets or subsystems, which collectively join together through interfaces, which enable different parts of the business to interact efficiently and effective. Remember, being efficient means time and money is not wasted, and being effective means that you are doing the right things. So what exactly is a policy? The policy is simply a statement of purpose, and it tells you what you want to achieve, or what your objective is, and why you have that policy. A study I read quite a few years ago showed that a policy, which included the reason why it existed, had almost twice the compliance rate of the same policy prior to adding the reason for the policy to the policy. A word of caution: policies can have unintended consequences, as can compliance monitoring. So consider any possible outcomes that could be detrimental to your business when setting up your policies, procedures and compliance monitoring. There is the saying that what gets measured gets done, so be careful what you measure. That's more part of your observation and review of policy compliance, but it's worth noting here. So let's now have a look at how to put together a policy. The process will be a little different if you're working as a team compared to doing this by yourself. If you're in a team, become familiar with idea capture tools like brainstorming, so that everyone's contribution can be considered. If you're by yourself, you can just get in and capture your thoughts and work with them. The first question to ask is, what is the objective, or what is it we want to achieve? Jot down responses that come to mind and work out how to incorporate them into a single statement of purpose. One way of getting a clever idea of your purpose is to start the sentence or statement with the word ensure or the words to ensure. In my experience with many groups in business management training, the term ensure seems to work like magic and get people's minds on the right path. When you have that statement written to your satisfaction, rewrite it without using the expression ensure. The resulting statement should have captured the purpose for the policy. Here is a simple example of putting that process to work. Let's say in our business that we want our customers to pay within 21 days of issuing our invoice. We might initially write, ensure account receivables are paid within 21 days of issue of invoice. This can be restated as accounts receivable terms of 21 days are enforced. Now the second part of the policy statement is working out the why. This is part B of writing. Ask the question, why is this objective needed? Now the magic word to use for this one is because. A little more brainstorming may be needed to capture the reasons. In our example, I've come up with some reasons like cash flow must be maintained. Historically, older debts are harder to collect. Cost of collection after 21 days is high. Bonuses are paid based on customer adherence to the policy. That's sure to get your staff attention. Our example policy would become, accounts receivable terms of 21 days are enforced because tight cash flow management means debt recovery costs are avoided and staff bonuses are maximised. So let's do a little bit of a review and see where we've been so far. What's a policy? In basic terms, it's your statement of purpose and the reason why you have that policy. What's a procedure? It's the statement that tells you what needs to be done to achieve the policy objective. In its simplest form, it is an action statement, detailing how a task or series of tasks is to be completed. It is a statement that tells you what needs to be done to achieve the policy objective and how to do it. Think of your policy as the what you want to achieve and the why you want to achieve that objective. The what and why of your purpose. Your procedure is the how. It's an action statement that tells you what is to be done, who is responsible to see it done, and when it is to be done. It always helps to have a good tool or a guide with pretty much every area of business development. You might find it useful to set up a policy and procedure worksheet like the one on screen at the moment. This is one you could map out on a piece of paper, you could set up a table on a word processor, or set it up in a spreadsheet. In the first column, the first blank cell, you detail the area for your business which you want to develop your policy and procedure. Usually you'll start at the top end with a very broad policy area. You'll work out more detailed subsystems underneath that with more detailed policies and procedures to build the system. Having decided on the area, decide what it is you need to achieve. And that goes in the second column in the what area. Below that, there is the why part of your policy where you'll write down why this policy is needed. What is the reason for it? The third column is for your procedure, and there you can record how you're going to implement the policy and the actions that you need to take to achieve the objective. When you've got all those ideas down, you can then move to the policy statement, and in the bottom section you can write your action statement, that is your procedure. For most small businesses, this process will enable you to develop a useful and effective set of policies and procedures as you build your system. Let's talk about some monitoring and compliance with your policies. Many businesses go to the trouble of setting up systems in their business and then fail to take the effort to monitor what is going on within the business. What is really happening is that they engage in what is best described as crisis management. That is, something goes obviously wrong and then they try to fix it. If the systems were monitored, then flaws in the system or non-compliance will become evident usually before any catastrophic event or major problem occurs. Now, if we were in a live situation, I'd conduct a brainstorming exercise with the training group or with my client to come up with ways that compliance with their policies and procedures can be monitored. We're recorded, so that's not happening here. I've compiled a list using frequently given answers from my clients and training groups of ways you can monitor your systems and the policies and procedures compliance in your business. You can seek feedback, and that's from many sources: customers, staff, suppliers, perhaps even the community in which your business operates. Audits are another way to check you are complying with the laws of the land. For example, in regard to tax areas, workplace health and safety, consumer affairs, and equal opportunity and anti-discrimination. When setting up your policies and procedures, you should look at key performance indicators that will indicate whether or not satisfactory levels of compliance are occurring. For each key performance indicator, you need to come up with a set of key performance measures to give you feedback in real or near to real time. Observation is another method of checking compliance. Checklists that are required to be completed for each job generate a sense of accountability and can be quite easily reviewed to ensure the required steps were completed. Spot checks can also be an effective generator of policy compliance. The unpredictability of spot checks makes them quite effective. So let's review where we've been. We briefly looked at systems and recognised that these are very beneficial for any business because they enable management of the business and produce predictable and consistent outcomes. Systems are made up of policies and procedures. We had a pretty good look at policies, and now we know that policies are statements of purpose that provide guidance and define specific objectives within the business. We know that policies that include the reason for their existence, the why, have much higher rates of compliance than those that don't. Procedures tell us not only what has to be done, but who is responsible and when the procedure needs to be carried out and how it is to be carried out. We had a look at ways you can improve compliance with your policies and procedures. Without compliance, your business will not run effectively or efficiently, and you as a business owner can expect to be frequently putting out fires and dealing with crises. Well, now we've come to the end of this presentation, and on behalf of ProfiTrain, I'd like to thank you for your time and sincerely hope you found some value for your business here. ProfiTrain helps individuals and businesses develop and grow through personal development and business training. If you'd like more information, please send an email to admin@profittrain.com. Thanks for your time and have a fantastic year.